Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on something you see all the time, but maybe never really think about. The letters CC. It seems so simple, right? But it holds this incredibly wild story about everything from accessibility and copyright to a really sneaky marketing trick from way back when. So let's get into it.
Okay, so you know this one. It's that little button right there at the bottom of pretty much every video you watch. You give it a tap, and boom, words pop up on the screen, telling you what's being said. It's a feature we honestly just take for granted these days.
But then, you're scrolling and you see those same two letters, CC, tucked away in the credit for a photo or at the end of an online article. And you just know this CC has absolutely nothing to do with the sound in a video. So what's the deal? Are they connected somehow? Well, as we're about to find out, not only are they totally different, but the real story of CC goes way, way deeper, to a place I promise you will never, ever expect.
All right, let's start with the two CCs you bump into pretty much every day online. Both of them were really born out of the digital age, and they're both about how we share and take in information.
So, that first CC you see on videos, it stands for closed captions. Now, here's the really crucial thing to get. This is not just a transcript of what people are saying. It was designed from the ground up for accessibility. That means it includes all the other sounds, like door slams, or suspenseful music swells, or even telling you who is speaking when they're off screen. The whole point is that it assumes the viewer can't hear a thing.
And that's the key difference between captions and their cousin, subtitles. See, subtitles assume you can hear just fine. You just might not understand the language being spoken, so they only translate the dialogue. Captions, though, they're painting the entire soundscape for someone who is deaf or hard of hearing. So CC is for accessibility, subtitles are for translation. Simple as that.
Okay, makes sense, right? That explains the button on YouTube. But that still doesn't tell us what's up with the CC you see attached to photos, music, and other creative stuff. For that, we've got to dive into the wonderful world of copyright.
This CC stands for Creative Commons, and honestly, it's a total game changer. It gives creators a really simple, standard way to let the public use their work without having to ask for permission every single time. Instead of the classic all rights reserved, Creative Commons is all about some rights reserved, and it gives you a clear answer to that one big question: what am I allowed to do with this?
These licenses are kind of like building blocks. BY means you have to give credit to the original creator, and C means you can't use it for commercial purposes. SA is share alike, which means if you make something new with it, you have to use the exact same license. And ND means no derivatives. You can't change the work at all. Creators can just mix and match these to get super specific about how their stuff gets shared.
Okay, cool. So we've got closed captions for making things accessible, and Creative Commons for sharing legally. Two CCs, case closed, right? Nope, not even close. Because now we are about to take a sharp 90-degree turn into marketing history to a time way before the internet to find the original CC.
This quote just sets the stage perfectly. This first CC, it wasn't made to solve a real problem. It was invented to create one. The goal here wasn't to empower anyone. It was to create a brand new social anxiety that, wouldn't you know it, only one specific product could fix.
And there it is. Back in the 1940s, the soap brand Lifebuoy launched in Brazil. In the US, they had this hugely successful ad campaign built around the scary term BO for body odor. So to make it work in Brazil, they just translated the concept. BO became CC for cheiro corporal, which is just Portuguese for body odor. They literally manufactured an insecurity and then sold the cure. And it totally worked.
And if you need proof, just look at this timeline. It puts everything into perspective. The cheiro corporal ad campaigns were all over the place in the 1940s. The very first demos of closed captioning technology, that didn't even happen until the early 1970s. And Creative Commons wasn't founded until 2001. So the original CC had nothing to do with tech or law. It was all about selling soap.
So this whole wild ride, from accessibility to copyright law to body odor, it actually points to something much bigger. Acronyms like CC aren't just little bits of shorthand. They're often the public face of these huge, complex, and sometimes totally invisible systems that organize our world.
Yeah, these systems decide what's accessible, what's shareable, and, as we've seen, even what's considered socially embarrassing. Let me give you one more example, a really complex system that most people never see, but that has enormous consequences for a country's entire scientific world.
Meet Qualis Capes. It's a massive classification system in Brazil that's used to rank academic journals. You can think of it like a Michelin star system, but for scientific papers. For scientists working in Brazil, this system is everything. It can literally define a career, dictating where you can publish your life's work and how valuable that work is considered to be.
So, the system sorts journals into these tiers. Way up at the top you have A1, which is for the absolute best, internationally recognized journals. Then it goes down through A2, B1, B2, and so on, all the way down to C, which is basically worth nothing. A researcher's whole career can depend on getting their work into a journal that has a high Qualis Capes rating. It's an incredibly powerful, hidden system for classifying knowledge itself.
So let's just lay it all out. We've got 4 completely different systems, all hiding behind different labels over the years. Closed captions, a system built for accessibility. Creative Commons, a system for sharing. Share Corporal, a system for commerce. And Qualis Capes, a system for ranking. Each one uses a simple label to represent a really complex web of rules.
So after all that, what does it all mean? We kicked this off with a pretty simple question about 2 letters and ended up uncovering 4 completely different worlds hidden behind them. I mean, our little journey took us from the tech standards that make media accessible to the legal rules that govern creativity online. Then we time traveled back to the birth of modern consumer anxiety. And finally, we peeked into the high-stakes pressure cooker world of academic publishing.
An acronym is never just an acronym. It's a key. It's a tiny little breadcrumb that points to a much bigger structure, a whole system of rules and values and power that is quietly shaping the world all around us, whether we notice it or not. The story of CC is really a lesson to be curious, to look a little closer at the symbols we see every single day. Because once you start looking, you'll be amazed at the hidden worlds you find. What systems are you a part of without even knowing it?